Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. The applause was a warm, receding wave. On stage, under the brilliant lights, Lena offered a final, polished smile to the audience before turning to walk into the dimness of backstage. The moment she was out of sight, the smile vanished, replaced by a weary tautness around her mouth. In the green room, the air was thick with the scent of hairspray and cold coffee. Her co-panelist, Cora, was already there, scrolling through her phone, a faint, cynical smirk playing on her lips. "Another triumph for Team Empathy," Cora said, not looking up. Her voice was light, but the words had a practiced needle-knife sharpness. "You really have that understanding every side thing down to a science." Lena poured herself a glass of water, her hands steady despite the tremor she felt inside. They had just finished a heated, nationally televised discussion on work-life balance, and Cora had spent the last 10 minutes making veiled, witty jabs about the logistical nightmares of certain life choices, her eyes flicking meaningfully toward Lena. Lena, 3 months pregnant and fiercely guarding the muse, had felt each comment land like a small, precise blow. "It's about finding a reasonable perspective, Cora, that's all." "Oh, reason," Cora chuckled, finally setting her phone down. "Such a safe, boring little harbor. Well, some of us have lunches that don't involve steamed vegetables and prenatal vitamins. See you tomorrow." The comment hung in the air after she swept out, a puff of perfumed poison. Lena sank into a plush chair, placing a protective hand on her still flat stomach. The public persona, the unflappable, compassionate voice of reason, was a suit of armor she wore daily. But Cora had a knack for finding the cracks. The subtle digs about her nesting instincts, the backhanded compliments about her blooming complexion, all disguised as harmless banter for their colleagues. It was a quiet, relentless campaign fought with insinuation and a smile. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her husband, Mark. "You were amazing. So proud of you. How are you feeling?" Tears pricked the back of her eyes. How could she explain that the public debate was less exhausting than the private war of words in the green room? That the weight of her secret was made heavier by Cora's constant, sly attempts to expose it? Later that evening at home, the facade finally crumbled. The quiet of her study was a balm. Mark found her there, staring out the window at the city lights. She knows, or she suspects, and she's enjoying it. It's a game for her. Mark came behind her, his hands resting on her shoulders. "Then stop playing her game." "How? I have to sit next to her every day. If I react, I'm the hormonal, emotional one. If I don't, she wins." "She only wins if she steals your joy," he said softly. "This," he placed a gentle hand on her abdomen, "is your truth, not her gossip, not her rating strategy." The next morning, Lena walked into the studio with a new resolve. The producers were buzzing about a last-minute change. A major political figure had pulled out and they needed to fill 20 minutes. Cora seized the opportunity immediately. "Let's do a deeper dive on authenticity in public life," she suggested, a glint in her eye. "The personas we craft versus the messy, inconvenient realities we hide." This was a direct setup. But as the red light on the camera glowed, something in Lena shifted. She listened to Cora's opening salvo, a beautifully articulated critique of calculated vulnerability. When it was her turn, Lena didn't defend herself. She didn't retreat. She looked directly into the camera, her voice soft but unwavering. "Authenticity," she began, "isn't about revealing every private detail for public consumption. It's about the courage to protect what's sacred. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is mine. This is not for your entertainment, your critique, or your gossip." True strength isn't always in the reveal. Sometimes it's in the quiet, fierce, and loving act of holding something close. She didn't look at Cora. She spoke to the millions of people who also guarded their own quiet truths. The studio was silent for a beat, then filled with genuine, appreciative applause. After the show, Cora was silent, packing her bag. The cynical smirk was gone. She had thrown her best punch, and Lena had simply sidestepped, redefining the terms of the battle entirely. Lena walked out into the morning sun, her hand resting on the secret she carried. It was still her armor, but now it was one she wore by choice, not by force. She had learned that the most powerful rebuttal was not a counterattack, but a quiet, unassailable peace.